Genshin on Switch is more real than ever.
Huh? Huh?
This time we just showed the reality of a lot of information that we brought many creators in a... And don't be so crazy, because I understand it was a little ambiguous and there weren't such public papers that they could corroborate more if there were very important testimonies about it. But today, for the official release of Xbox on November 20th, i.e. Genshin on Xbox and therefore on game. Plus 2, that this can also help them generate sales and more players. Let's talk about truth and development. Genshin's contract, which he had with Sony, and how this has had quite a significant impact on us, players in the company, but above all how it is impacting now for good not. So leave a good like, a fertilizer, and subscribe. Leave a good comment for the algorithm. People, you know it's free, it supports a lot, it doesn't cost you anything. Subscribe and like button. Thank you. I help a lot to the channel to be positioned, be recommended, grow up, and now Nathan's Doors is the best time to join the best Genshin Impact channel. Now yes, let's go with the truth of HOYOVERSE. Well, this started with a testimony from Kataro and Mordex. So as in the previous anniversary video that I said comments on. You were right about the beta and Genshin started. Here in this video, the comments have to be put. Mordex and Kaitaro were right and agreeing to them now when they watched the video. If you saw the video commenting around, I'm sure they do. I know they see a lot, and basically it happens that they did. A stream that I actually reacted to, and then Mordex uploaded it on a YouTube video of him saying, HOYOVERSE. It's not the bad guys in Kaitaro with Mordex. Explain the following, which I think many of you know this and actually does. Little Tuputupaba has posted some tweets saying, look, I said it, and you told me that I was misinformed and now I'm right. And so, I think we all generally uploaded this information and commented on it at the time and called us crazy. In fact, there's a date video that now many of you are commenting on in that video that's around here called... We also talked about it, a lot of people call me crazy, and because I think that there is the information and the reality. The point of all this is that Kaitaro and Mordex commented, and I believe that Kaitaro is the official source of all this and the first that talked about all this, that basically HOYOVERSE had a contract with Sony's exclusivity so they couldn't get Genshin out on Switch, and it got bogged down, including quite a few speculations related to maybe Nintendo was angry with it, Genshin for the fact that Genshin looks so much like Zelda Breath of the Wild, and in fact many purists say no, I don't play Genshin because it's a copy of Breath of the Wild when they don't even know what Genshin's about, but it looks like to Breath of the Wild. This contract, that here comes the interesting, so hold on to the chair. This contract consisted of the following, and this, the information that had the one that has been corroborated, and that which has already been confirmed today, has basically exclusivity clauses, plus it had a lot to do with the funding that Genshin received in order to do his own game. Is to say all this funding in theory came from Sony, and basically many of the initial costs, so marketing as development mostly covered Sony, because we understand that because HOYOVERSE maybe didn't want to, despite that it is a Chinese company, to use Chinese funds so that in the future remember that the Chinese system works in that all. The companies are public, and in fact the government has a gigantic participation in them, with which in the end all the fake companies, because they are controlled by the government in short, so there is also news of very little that Tencent offered. HOYOVERSE buy part of the company by a very high percentage, and a pretty crazy amount, and HOYOVERSE said no. And in China, and Tencent took this as an insult, even since you know that those who play without doing it do not. You know. But those of you who know that Tencent is the biggest giant in the history of the video game market. He owns the half the video game companies that you hear the editors over there will be putting some Google image graph with the updated conglomerate of companies belonging to Tencent, and basically now makes a lot more sense, because by counting with funds in this case are in that they are not Chinese or foreigners, have that independence not to depend on direct orders of the Chinese government as much as for the policies of the own country, that you already know that we have spoken a lot also that they have spoke. Policies related to the days, the hours, and the amount of time people play the game as the issue of influencing within the game itself at the level of since more skins sexualize more characters, teach more flesh use, or make certain actions limit or not limit certain things. Language is the theme that they wanted to put. You know that Venti was a character, which is a bearded spirit identified as girl, but Venti's character as such is basically that Beards lost a friend in the Monsity War, and that friend was the Monsity Bard, with which now Venti Barbatos has the image and appearance of the Monsity Bard, but originally being an image of a boy, Trapito is going to address himself as a girl. And give us many more thoughts about the matter as well. The case with Sony is not that now we put ourselves in the comments soy only. Bad Sony was the bad Sony is to blame, for I understand that yes, and not to see Sony has an exclusive contract, and besides, I understand that they also had a big contract to have a lot of control over what HOYOVERSE was doing for a side. This commented that, and as in the same original source video as I tell you, we reacted and we something else. Is that also because of this tremendous debt HOYOVERSE had to make an overly big and aggressive marketing plan to Endura Zales in this part of SAG? This sentence above is going to be very interesting in the video, because this marketing plan to secure sales basically and pass through the lining, you already know where the community deals, and above all, the aggressiveness, the time to do all this, and above all to also skip the ethical practices within what fits is a gotcha. There is not much ethical practice, but within what fits sometimes do things a little well. The companies noticed that they were, as I say, very drowned HOYOVERSE, and who used that in Chin as a way of how we said there are in the golden eggs, or almost. Prostitute sends surely the publishers around here, leaving as if she were a cheap company lady whoring the hell. In order to maximize the money they had to recover in order to be able to pay this debt of soy, and clear now everything. It fits because now we know why they were so fond of Hong Kong Pack 3rd, why they were so fond of Hong Kong Star Rail, and they did things they didn't do in Genshin because Hong Kong Star Rail doesn't have that exclusive contract. Exclusivity is exclusively with Genshin Impact, and now that they have finally been able, and it is noticeable to be able on the one hand to finish the contract exclusivity, and on the other hand paying off this great debt they had, since Sony has all the sense of the world that at last, instead to be aggressive and try to maximize the benefits, begin to treat the community well, even though that may mean we all know that in the end, at this point, people are going to pay a lot more, because when they see players are happy, they have much more ease and willingness to spend, and that's why they have just come out and officially advertised Genshin Impact in Xbox that I finished it. I said at the beginning of the video, but, well, here's the ad with a fairly trailer. Good indeed, and official also, to supplement this information that you know that there are a few rewards for the player C that begin to play Genshin Impact in Xbox is nothing of the other world, are a few wishes, a few books of experience, black out some moons, and basically a little incentive for people who can play in Xbox. I've already seen the typical Hadafov networks that you will say my mother people are already again, and have seen people saying that there are few are the usual cheap ones. Look what they give. Look, Joyu could have gone out in Xbox and not give anything, just say hello release in Xbox and then they have made it from giving a couple of books and some blackberries and some good protogema, more than protogemas, a few wishes. So good is that? There could be nothing true. It's not being conformist or anything. It's not being defensive and spiteful all the time with everything that Joyu does. And then apart from this, I know that the theme of the anime and the film go apart. But really now that they have total control of Genshin, and that looks like they're going to take a good course, and they're going to count the players, I think the same, will also give you more willingness to do projects above Genshin, as you keep in mind that if a company has these exclusivity contracts and this link so strong with another external entity that it can control their content, maybe they weren't so funny about getting an anime that might also have to go under supervision and review. Zoe, and now they can finally put more firewood into the fire paragraph. I think that many here are going to the comments to say, but fill the anime. What happens is that it is with UFO table, and UFO table is finishing another anime, and UFO table is not loaded of many projects, with which in any case Genshin's anime can be delayed many years because UFO table is finishing other projects. That is right, my friend, but there is also the factor that told you that it is going to involve more in the whole recess with Genshin, because they no longer have to go through the ring of Sony basically, and finally, and as maybe it isn't in the thumbnail and speaks at the beginning of the video, I think the most important part of this video and that all the players of Genshin, once they came to pose, is this opens the Genshin door on Switch as well, far beyond speculation of, oh, maybe I'm mad at HOYOVERSE because Genshin is kind of a copy of Breath of the Wild. Official audio you're looking at here in Japanese background, I think that's also where Genshin is still advertised on Switch, with which in the end, I deny if he has had talks and receptions with Genshin, i.e. maybe it is Copium that you have arrived. Until the end, put in the Copium comments for algorithms and you think so, but I think this honestly, and if I'm wrong? We will watch this video after a few times of a time aging very badly or very well. That it is for the first time a sign and very interesting open doors for Genshin to actually arrive on Switch soon, perhaps in a year, maybe. Into, but this time I no longer see any problem apart from the theme of Sony for Genshin on Switch, so little more than illusion. And what a joy all this stuff we have now with Genshin, and no one expected Genshin in Xbox. But the good news continues. I really hope NATLAN follows everything. I have an incredible desire to make a lot of content for you. So thank you for supporting the video. You already know a like, comment, all help for the channel to position itself grow. Let's all grow the channel team as well. So thank you for all the support, thank you for the opportunity of everything, and bye.